Well, then we would have just gotten The Giver again, though. That's the only problem.
Don't start me on The Giver. They make children read it like it's a good book. And then you grow up and you're thinking the whole time, The Giver was good, right? And then you like remember it as an adult and you're like, this book is fucking trash? Why did they teach it to every 7th grader?
Sweet Christmas.
Shout out to my birds.
Hello. This is Che.
This is Cory.
And this is the Next Time On podcast, a podcast where two lifelong friends discuss all things amazing and all things fetid in popular culture. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, imagine if instead of combining as one of the most disappointing attacking duos at the World Cup, Michy Batshuayi and Eden Hazard had started an exceptional nerd podcast instead. Is that fair, Cory?
Sure, why not? What country are they
from? Which one
from?
of these loser-ass Belgians are you? Pick one of the loser fucking Belgians that you want to be.
Okay, fair. I don't know if you're doing a bracket or not, Che, but I'm assuming you seem upset about
I didn't
something.
do a bracket. Well, I think the World Cup bracket thing is like a little... I did a pool where we had like questions and stuff and like a winner's pool. It's hard to explain exactly. Okay, this World Cup has been a real bummer. I'm sorry. For a number of reasons. We're not going to talk about the World Cup today.
I don't think I've actually been able to catch like a good match, which has disappointed me.
Couple points of business before we jump in. Don't forget to follow us at Next Time On Pod on our social media platforms, including youtube.com, which if you are watching right now on the YouTube channel, don't forget to like and subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're not, go over there, drop us a subscribe. We've got all videos coming to you for the next month. We got big stuff coming, including next-ish episode maybe, depending on if we drop a little special episode about the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, but either the next one coming up or the one right after that we're doing. And I fully expect this episode to be like 7.5 hours long, but we're going to be doing the Avatar by James Cameron, Curse of the Rewatch.
That's going to probably be our longest episode, and we did a watch along to Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I got multiple texts from people who I guess didn't really realize what it was, and just were like,
Zack Snyder thing?
Yeah, they just saw the episode and they were like, they texted me, they're like, 4 hours? I was like, yeah, I mean, it's not like an episode, really.
No,
it's like
no.
you turn on this terrible movie and you watch us lose our mind, you listen to us lose our mind at the same time. But
we won't be doing that with Black Adam because I don't think either of us want to watch that movie again. I won't trick you into talking about it, I promise.
I do actually, I should, before we get into the meat of the episode, I should just do a brief apology. Because on this podcast, I came out and I made a joke at the expense of two people I respect, Sean Fennessy and Amanda of the Big Picture podcast, and they released an episode called Black Adam, Worst Movie of the Decade, and I laughed saying these white people are being dramatic, and you know what, Cory? The white people were not being dramatic. It's one of the worst things I've ever watched.
I think it is definitely one of the worst things. And I remember like I'm less down on it than I guess like the worst thing I've seen in a decade, because I feel like I've seen some shit. But I started writing a review for it. Mm-hmm. I got about 10,000 pages in before I realized what am I doing with my life.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
But it's just like, maybe we'll post what happens, but like what that article was going to be. But it's just line by line of me just kind of having an existential breakdown about like the state of movies and the state of superhero movies and the state of like, what are we even trying, or what was even the point of any of this? Like, what were we even fucking doing?
It's so cynical to the point of being almost like a joke. Like,
it's like, it didn't make, like, to me, I mean, like, the script itself was just so ridiculous, and then they made every wrong decision, I felt like. What they could have, like, tightened it up, they could have focused on one thing, and they just made it a straight action movie and stupid, it would have been fine, but the whole kid thing was weird, the whole, like, trying to make a new Wakanda thing was weird, that was a lot of just weird.
We're not talking about Black Adam, I can't.
We should have did.
It's one of the worst.
Episode.
It's easily the worst movie I've seen this year. It's not even close. And I saw fucking Ambulance in theaters. So it's one of, I hated it, Cory, but we're not talking about that. Almost all of that will have been cut out. I'm not sure how I'm going to chop this up so I don't sound like I'm losing my mind, but we're just going to jump into the episode. Today we're going to be talking about Mark Mylod's The Menu, Lorenzo De Felici's Kroma. We're going to be checking in on Ed Brubaker's Friday, and we'll be closing out with a discussion of the first and hopefully not last season of Andor.
No, I think they've
Did
already
officially start shooting? Because once they start shooting, we're in the clear, but nobody's watching the show for some reason, even though it's incredible.
But I think it's like critically is doing very well though.
Yes,
So I think So I think I'm assuming there'll be another show.
Yeah,
definitely one of those things where people are gonna be like, you should go back and watch this kind of shows, which I think that's a good thing when you're doing like streaming shows though. Not great if you want to do week to week, but I think the show where I mostly binged watched it, and I thought that was like a very good watch in my opinion. I had a really good time. But I think definitely if you guys ever sit down to watch Andor, if you don't want to get to our spoiler part of it, just watch it in 2 six episode chunks, I feel like. I think they do a very good job of having 2 distinct arcs in this season.
There's pretty clear acts of the first season. I mean, there's like, okay, we'll talk about all this in a second. But let's jump into this episode. Let's start with things that we love. That's not what it's called anymore. It hasn't been called that for forever. Corey, what's your elevator pitch?
Well, I just realized I wanted to do Glass Onion, but I'm assuming we'll be talking about that on the episode after our Avatar Bad Movie Club episode. So
yes,
we'll get to talk about Glass Onion with this full spoilers. Just real quick, really liked it. If you liked the first one, I think you're gonna like this one. Different feel, but I really did enjoy it.
All right, well, let's do it. Let's get a minute on the clock and go.
All right, so what I'm actually going to be talking about for this is a very different thing. It's a Netflix show that I believe started in 2019. It has already been wrapped up in season 3. The reason I hopped onto it is I keep getting pushed that 1899 show. But what it is a German television show called Dark. I kind of went into it pretty blind, knowing that it was kind of about time travel and just kind of being very, like, I heard it had a very good reputation of being very smartly written. I don't think I've ever read a story about time travel that was at least this like matricular, like just like written so well that everything does at some point tie up to the point of frustration, really. It's not a happy show, if you could tell by the title Dark. If anything, it's a rough watch at time being, but I did enjoy it for the fact that it kept on making me think, and each episode had me realizing and thinking I'm wrong, but I'm right, but it's just gotta watch it. Really recommend it if you want a show that just fucks with your brain. And just something I discovered at the very last season. If you end up watching it, you can. I think Netflix put out an official like family tree chart, which if you need to go back and reference a chart for your show, it either means the show sucks or the show is. In my opinion, the show is very like the way that they at least planned it out. I actually like the. I haven't finished it yet. But I do like stories that... We
can't say shit. We like Jonathan Hickman, so... And
that's true.
The master of...
It feels a bit like Hickman, where it's just like, okay, I have the story that's already done, and let me just kind of fill in the pieces in between.
I enjoyed Dark. I did.
Yeah. I think just I like putting like writing in 2 directions, and I think that's what you should do for a time travel story.
Dark is one of those shows that I think is the beneficiary of the Netflix dominance, which is usually, I think, 99% of the time a bad thing. And then every once in a while you get something like Dark, or even like oh my god, the biggest show from last year. I'm blanking on what it was called.
Okay, mate, just start describing it.
The Korean show. The fucking...
fucking Squid Game.
There you go. There's like Squid Game, which I didn't care for, but it's like cool that this random Korean show by this guy who was homeless for like 10 years or something like that, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Was the biggest show in the world for a time because of Netflix. On the other hand, there is like now everyone in the world's gonna watch Wednesday, which I think is like a pretty mid to bad TV show, but just because it's on Netflix, all your friends are gonna tell you to watch it, and everybody. I think
people have that such strong nostalgia for those the first 2 Addams Family movies, and I just don't think
I don't know if that's true. I think that's definitely part of it.
I think that at least to me, like everyone who they like the movies, I felt like at least I liked the movies as a kid, so but I think I watched like about 10 minutes of the animated one and I turned it off. I mean, I don't have a really strong bond to the Addams Family.
One way or the other, to be honest.
Yeah. But I always kind of figured that Aubrey Plaza should have played like a grown-up Wednesday Addams at some point in her career. And now that there's a Netflix show, I'm never going to get that, so that's fine.
Well, she's not grown up, so there could still be a grown-up Aubrey Plaza show, I guess.
That's very fair, but I was just like, we should have just
done... But I'm super good on Wednesday Addams.
She was like, she's solving mysteries, and I'm like, you should have just done that with Aubrey Plaza and just make it in the future. But fine, whatever, for the tweens.
I guess that's, you know what? That's who it's for. It's for
I don't
people
think
who
yes.
watch
I don't think
TikTok,
it's for.
and I don't watch
Yeah.
TikTok, and this show is nothing. It's just not for me.
We-
So that's fine.
Yeah, and that was like the oldest sentence I think we've ever like.
That's fine. I'm an old ass.
I
man.
just think like
that's fine.
We're not
I
old yet.
fully
We
accept
have
that
one more.
I'm a washed nigga now. It happens. It happens to the best of us. But
Not me. I'm still.
no,
youthful.
you're as washed as me. Don't.
So go fuck yourself. I am looking great, and I have only a lot of gray hair.
All right, a minute on the clock for me.
Sure, go ahead.
I am pitching, shocker, British television show. All right. I talked about the show before, made my top 10 either last year or in 2020. I can't remember when the first season came out. I think 2020. And this is the hyper-violent, absolutely batshit insane Gareth Evans, I would say crime action drama is the best way to describe it. It's basically
I think it's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, imagine if, like, The Sopranos also had brutality in it. And this show it does not disappoint. Shopper Derisu and Joe Cole star in this incredible second season that I've been loving so far. If you live in the UK, you have already seen the whole season. If you live in America, I think the first 2 episodes are out on AMC Plus, or you can find the whole season wherever you want, you know.
I mean, so many people have AMC Plus, you know.
It's so good. This show is so fucking good. It's so fun. I'm not sure this season is not as good as the first one. I'm gonna be very clear about that. I should say this. I think so far, if you've watched the first 3 episodes, you'll be like, "Oh, this show's okay." I mean, it's a little bit disappointing compared to the first season, but it gets way better. And I also just think the performances are super good, which is like the quintessential British television thing where there are these, I think, pretty like oftentimes B and C plots that just get elevated by exceptional supporting actors that you just usually don't get in American TV shows for whatever reason. Another one that I was watching earlier this year with Martin Freeman, The Responder, which is like on the face of it a pretty by the numbers cop drama. It looks and feels a lot like a lot of cop dramas you've seen before, and it's just like everyone in it is an exceptional actor from top to bottom. People who have like one scene in it are incredible.
Do you think we're ever gonna stop getting cop dramas?
No, I mean, why would we though? Like, what's the point?
I don't know. Just wondering.
I enjoy a cop drama.
If it's good, it's just.
I think. I mean, there's difference between cop drama and propaganda. Like.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm fair about. I'm more of a. I mean, like, listen, I guess I like detective things so more than.
Yeah, I don't. It's not that much. This show is definitely does not make the police department look capable, functional, or good. Which is true. All those things are true. Yeah. But I've said before on this podcast, I think I am an avid viewer of the show The Rookie, starring Nathan Fillion, and that is propaganda to its core, and it is true garbage, and yet I love every second of it. Every cop in that show is so hot, it's hilarious. I'm not suggesting you watch The Rookie, but just quickly Google, if you're listening to this, quickly Google The Rookie cast and be like, oh, right, okay. I've never seen anybody like this get pull me over before. It's so funny. What does that mean? You getting pulled over?
I don't know.
That's not a brag.
Honestly,
all right, let's jump into it. Let's talk about.
Yes, let's do it.
Unless you have something else to say.
No, nothing else. I was just I'm excited to talk about Gluttony whenever we get around to it. But no, let's
I'm debating seeing it this week. It'll depend on Fableman's show times and when I can see Fableman's, because I need to see Fableman's.
I don't know how to feel about that movie from the trailer. And I want to see it, but at the same time, it's like
I haven't seen the trailer.
I don't know.
No, but I mean, I don't give a. Steven Spielberg is my nigga.
I think it's very fair. So I'm like, at one point, I'm like, isn't it kind of annoying that he does that about like his own movie? But at the same time, it's like, I think if you're Steven Spielberg, you're allowed to make your own movie about yourself. Yeah, I think he's one of the
3 directors that this would have been okay to do, right? It's like him, Scorsese, and I would go see Tarantino's version of this movie. I don't think Tarantino would ever make it. I don't think Tarantino is interested in autobiographical
I think if he made his, it would be completely just nonsensical and absolutely fictional.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But at least with this one,
which would be in itself very interesting.
And I think Spielberg's entire career, just like his movies, are just so all over the place, and I think it's a very interesting. I'm like, and the more I'm saying it out loud now, I think I just don't give a shit about the kid parts about it, but I'm excited to see like the movie making parts of it. But
yeah, and to be honest,
I'm gonna
Steven
get around to
Spielberg
it.
is not. He's not Martin Scorsese, where I think
No.
almost everything Scorsese has done, I love at least parts of it, and then some things I think are like perfection. Obviously, Spielberg has like the highest of high highs,
But also, like, he's such like an influential force in
Right,
movies
right.
since the 70s. So
like has basically made
Jurassic Park,
Jurassic Park and Jaws, Saving Private Ryan.
Saving
He's
Private
got-
Ryan, yeah.
Yeah, I mean but on the other hand, he's made Ready Player One and fucking West Side Story, two movies that I think are absolutely atrocious. So
I
it's
will say
like
this: the composition of the final battle in Ready Player One, it was very well done. But that's only because of Spielberg. I also like the Shining reference. I thought that was a very well done scene too. But the Ready Player One movie is not a good movie. I'm not a defender of that movie, nor book.
are they doing the sequel? There was
I
like
don't
sort
know.
of talks of the sequel for a while, right?
It's funny. I like downloaded the book and I was like, "Am I actually gonna read this?" And I just decided. I was like, "You don't actually want to read it." The first time when I read the first one, I was a lot stupider, so I think I liked it back then. And I'm not trying to discount you if you liked the first book. I'm just saying I was stupider.
Wait, hold on. But that sentence doesn't really work, does it? So that's fine. We can discount people who have bad taste. That's kind of the point of this podcast. But you can't be like, you're stupid for liking this, but I'm not.
No. I was stupid for liking it. I'm not saying that you're stupid for liking it.
But aren't you?
Let's keep talking. Let's keep going. We gotta watch sports.
Yeah, I do want to make this 2:00 game. Although we have plenty of time. Let's hope this episode is not 2.5 hours long.
American football comes on less than that, so you know.
Oh, I don't give a shit about that.
I do.
All right. Up first, as I said, is Mark Mylod, who, again, I think I said when we previewed this movie, I don't know a ton about, but his, I think it's being called a horror drama. I don't really think that's super fair. It has some horror elements, and this is more of like a dramatic satire.
I think of it as, yeah, I mean, to me, I'm like equating it more to like Ready or Not.
Yeah.
Where I don't even think Ready or Not is really a horror film. I think it's just more of like a thriller.
Yeah. So
if anything.
The genres, if you Google the menu, the genres are horror/comedy. With horror first, which even that seems weird. I would say, if anything, it's a comedy horror. But again, I just wouldn't put horror in this.
I think the trailer was pitching it really hard as being like this very suspenseful, like horror.
Yeah.
But I think like when I saw the trailer, I'm like, I feel like this is gonna be funny. Or at least like to me, the concept of it just seemed a bit like off enough that I'm like, this is probably gonna be like, I was getting like, this is gonna be a satire. I didn't expect it to be as far of a comedy as it ended up being.
And this movie is
because it was
funny.
It was super funny.
Some of the funniest lines in movies.
I don't want to ruin the line that Shay texted me, and just the movie feels very
I think we should just have a spoiler conversation about this. If you're not looking for this, just skip ahead. Check the timestamps in the description. We won't, like, just jump ahead. I want to talk about, like, it's hard to talk about the menu without talking about what happened in the menu. I think otherwise, like, we're just having a conversation in circles around it.
But yeah, the menu is I feel like it's a combination between Chef's Table and a bit of Saw.
Yeah,
but not horror. But that same
absolutely
sense of dread.
Beautiful shots of in this movie, which
I loved each meal with like the ingredients in it. It's
a
very
perfect
fun.
touch because it starts off very normal, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be like a movie with beautifully shot food, and then the second it gets to, I mean, but by this time you know something fishy is going on, or you've seen the trailer, and you knew something fishy was going on when you walked in the movie theater, but when they set out the white tarp with like the branches on it, you're like, what's gonna happen here? And I wish I could remember the name of that course. It was like Jason's fuck up or something like that.
I think something like that. I think it was like It's Adequate or something like that.
I will say my like overarching thoughts on this movie, and then we get you yours, and then we'll talk about it more in depth. But I think I enjoyed it a lot. I don't know if the satirical elements of it landed in the way that I think Mylod wanted it to. There are parts of this movie that I think are conceptually really interesting, and then get undercut by kind of what happens in the movie. I think in theory, this movie's a really great idea. Guy brings a bunch of rich people who deserve to die to an island and slowly kills them in like this sort of like retribution slash cathartic murder spree cathartic for himself.
Purely for himself, which I kind
Yes.
of did enjoy that. I did enjoy that though, where the guy's like very much like not like a bigger reason or whatever. It's just more of like, I kind of had a mental break, and this is how I'm dealing with that.
Ralph Fiennes' character, I think, is the Chef Slowick is probably the best part of this movie. I think.
I think he was definitely the draw for me as well. Like I was like, oh, he's gonna be probably doing a lot of monologues where he's acting insane. Please give me more of that.
Yeah, I do think
missed him.
The big problem I have with the specifics of the movie, though, is that I really only think two of the characters really work. I think Nicholas Holt's character, Tyler, is maybe the worst human being that's ever been in a movie, and it's great to watch him die. That part of the movie is great.
That was fantastic.
The old rich couple is an effective like stand-in for like capitalist failures of America. Great. I think everyone else, even the finance dude bros who were just so on the nose, I don't know if they fit for me in this movie. Does that make sense?
I think I get what you're saying a bit, and I was wondering the same things. I haven't seen Triangle of Sadness yet. It's on my list, but I don't. But I was wondering. I want to ask.
They're at least too close to each other.
Yeah, and I think not the problem with it is Glass Onion also falls into that same. It's going to be 3 of those movies. And the thing about Glass Onion, and I felt where Glass Onion knew what it was, to the fact of like all of these characters here are so over the top, but it kind of works for the established universe of these movies.
Yeah.
And if anything, it's a bit more over the top than Knives Out, where the characters in Glass Onion are very much like, this is his trope. Yeah. This is the character. And I felt like with The Menu, like some of the tropes, like the old couple worked. I mean, Nicholas Holt's character was fucking insane, but like when the reveal happened, like when the multiple reveals happened about his character came out, was like, oh, it makes so much sense why you were acting like this.
Yeah, I think the reveal is great, but I think he's too
evil.
Not too evil. I think for this movie, actually, I wish kind of people had been more evil, because it's ridiculous. I think turn it up to 11 is a great strategy. I think he's doing this naturally. My problem. I wasn't really.
Yeah.
Is that he just tips his hand too early. You're like, this guy is in on it, or he knows something. He's not afraid when people start. It's just weird when people start dying. This guy's like, is that Bergabot? It's funny. It's really funny. But I don't know if it makes
honestly,
sense.
Man, like I didn't, and I mean, I feel like I'm usually pretty good about this. I just didn't even get that he was in on it. I'm like, this guy's just a fucking asshole. And I think maybe they threw me off when he was just treating her like dirt. So I was more focused on the fact that he was like, this guy's just a fucking piece of shit.
Right.
And then I mean, her reveal as well about who she actually was, I like that a lot.
Very strong.
And I was like, that was a really, really, I liked her character a lot. But I do agree with you. The other characters, like the finance bros, like themselves, like they were assholes, and the very over the top, like I can pay you money, basically. Yeah. Where it's like, I get that, but like they weren't evil enough for me to be like, oh, I hope you die kind of vibe. Or like, I wasn't rooting for I wasn't really rooting for people's death. Like even like the food critic who was like, the restaurant's gonna close down. I mean, she doesn't seem like, from what it was, I don't have enough establishment from her seeing if she was a super harsh critic or not.
Well,
I had no idea.
That one is like so petty on on Chef Slowick's part that I think it works in the plot of the movie. But yes, obviously, I'm not super rooting for her death.
Yeah, exactly.
The one that I think is the biggest undercut is the line that you were teasing. My favorite line, maybe of this year, maybe ever in movies, is the assistant to John Leguizamo's, like, he's sort of weirdly playing himself, which is
I think he is playing himself. I don't think it's kind of. I think he's just playing himself.
Well, I think John Leguizamo, which he's about to be starring in, I'm just gonna spoil it right now, gonna be my favorite movie of the year, 100%. He's gonna be in Violent Night in a week, so he's not quite. In his
I bought my tickets already, by the way. I got early screening next week, man.
Wait, man.
I'm publishing my short film script to nextimon.net. I wrote this movie 2 years ago. I'm not fucking kidding.
He did. It's a fact. We have the receipts. Well, I think the assistant, that line is great. When
the line is great.
When Margot, Anya Taylor-Joy's character, is like, "What about her? Can she come with me?" Because she's like she's not like these people. She's not rich, although we do find out she's been embezzling from her boss.
Embezzling from her boss, and also is currently on track to be a development producer from going from.
Right.
As somebody who works in the entertainment industry, there's so many people like this that happened to him, and me hearing that, I was just like, oh, I fucking hate you. I hate you so goddamn much.
This movie is clearly made by somebody who put a lot of avatars of people they don't like in this movie. But the line when she's like, when he says, "Where did you go to school? Brown. Any financial aid? No. You must die." It's like, it's so funny, but I just think it undercuts the point of the movie in a way. You know what I mean?
I think, I guess, like, I think I will agree with you on that. And I guess, like, even also, too, with, like, Nicholas Holt's character, we don't know what his ex, like, what her reasoning was to die. And I feel like for
her to die. I thought you meant why she broke up with him, because we know why she broke up with him.
That guy's a fucking psychopath. Absolutely.
Worst human being on planet Earth.
He's horrible. That's why when she was on the date, which the reveal makes more sense. But I think with her, it's just more of like a casualty to the fact that she's just more of a casualty, I guess, more than anything. It doesn't really even feel like she necessarily... She definitely didn't deserve it, but it was just very much, in my mind, she's just a casualty to... to this.
The way that he says it, like the way that Ralph Fiennes talks to Nicholas Hoult when he finds out, like over the course of the movie, it does seem like Ralph Fiennes thinks that his girlfriend should also die. So maybe she was also like a...
Maybe, yeah. I mean,
we don't really know what he is specifically, but some other sort of financial...
It seemed like he was rich and a douchebag, right, so it kind of like, it's... I think if anything, the movie itself was just more like everybody has like a person in this that they kind of just hate. Like, for example, me, like M. Night Shyamalan's Last Airbender to me is like, that movie haunts me.
Yeah.
Like the movie John. I'm not going to murder anybody, guys. I'm just putting that out there.
I do think that, again, really funny. But
really funny.
Does it really equate to the other people in this room that are dying?
I think, if anything, at that point, it's just like, this guy's just fucking batshit insane. Yeah. Which, at a certain point, it's just like, that's kind of just fun to me. It was like, this guy just like, he's just like, the bad guy is unabashedly just batshit insane.
And I think that, I agree, that's really fun. I guess my criticism of this movie, and the reason I think this movie could have been like an A+. And for me, it's like, I had a ton of fun. I think it's like a B. And the reason I think it drops off is because of that, where like they try to do the two things, where they try to make this character a raging psychopath, which I think there's a version of that movie that's really fun, where he just brings a bunch of people to this film and it's more of a horror movie and he just is killing people who don't deserve to die, or maybe some that do deserve to die. And they tried to have it the other way, where there's like, here is this criticism on our culture and what we've done with like the way we've bastardized art through capitalism, and really how money has destroyed everything in the world.
To simplify, what you're basically saying is, I kind of wish they nailed the satire a bit better.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what at least that's to me. I was just like, I walked out, and to me, it's like, I think it's such a hard thing where I'm like, what kind of satire do I like? Mm-hmm. Do I like it when it's just in my face, like, do I like it when it's subtle? And I think it works both ways, and I felt like this found itself right in the middle, and it didn't know which way it wanted to lean into more. Like, if you wanted to make the girl who went to Brown like that, like, I think they should have made her more of an asshole. But I think, if anything, if she was more of an asshole and we heard that, I think Herb is actually being kind of like not a bad person, and then the reveal that she like was like I think the joke wouldn't have landed as hard if she was already a piece of shit. But I think it was just so unexpected that it got a good laugh out of me. But I'm also like, I feel bad for her, because I feel like, if any, like, she doesn't deserve to die. Like, the rest, like, it's the people who deserve to die. Even the fucking editor for her magazine, like, why does he deserve to? He's just doing his fucking job, and she's a very good writer, apparently.
His crime is being like a sycophant, which I also found really funny.
I thought they were married. I'm like, oh no, you're just like a regular simp for no fucking reason.
Just like king bootlicker, which is great.
Yeah, I was just like, it's like, God, you, like, at the same time, like, I also like, you just kind of suck. So I'm like, I'm not super like distraught by you.
I think my biggest fix for this movie is just...
He kept you alive during COVID.
It's just fewer characters. I think fewer characters and just streamline the movie, streamline your satire. And like you said, go one or two ways. Go either really on the nose to the point where it's like preposterous and ridiculous, kind of like, and hopefully you see this movie and we'll talk about it, kind of like Triangle of Sadness, which I love.
I'm planning to see that before we talk Glass Onion. Because I feel like there's a very interesting conversation to be had around these three movies, and maybe which one nails the specific of the ensemble cast like stand-ins, I guess. I'm trying to think of a better word for that, but like, yeah, I'm
Like,
excited.
like supporting characters. I mean,
yeah. But would you? I still if you guys kept on listening to this,
like I said, I think we both.
It's one of those movies where I don't think.
Fun.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. I love Margot's character's reveal, and also I like the fact that there wasn't any shamefulness of being a sex worker. I liked a lot of what this movie did, and I think a lot of the movie was very smart. And if anything, I'm very excited to see what this person's next film is going to be, because it seems like this is successful enough to actually warrant another project for him.
So before this, he's been mostly like a TV director. I think we talked about this a little bit before. He's done some episodes of Succession, some episodes of Shameless, also Game of Thrones. Like, he's a big time TV director.
Oh, so that's how he ended up with Adam McKay then.
Yeah, which also caught my eye at the end. Adam McKay and Will Ferrell back together.
Yeah, wait, hold on. I just realized
Will Ferrell was credited as a producer of this movie, and I thought the Gary Sanchez was done.
I didn't see it.
Maybe this was when they officially dissolved their working relationship. Like, it started before that, so Will Ferrell still has to get credit on that. But I didn't really look much into that mostly because it's not super important. But I thought that was interesting. Do we want to talk at all anymore about the menu before we move on? Do you have anything to say about the mother character, which I thought was like probably one of the weaker parts of the movie?
I don't know what they were going for with that.
Me neither.
And I was
like
kind of
sitting
confused.
In the corner in sweatpants drinking the whole movie.
That was like, and it wasn't even funny. I was like, this is just kind of like, I think there was just like, maybe there was a better joke written in there that they felt like they didn't keep it in. Yeah. I'm sorry. I was trying to read the, Wikipedia article to see.
I will say the one thing that the menu has done is it's ruined s'mores for me forever.
He did point out, like I was just like, oh yeah, I guess s'mores. Like, I guess s'mores are disgusting.
Well, they're like, I can't remember what the word he used. It was like this perfect representation of the failure of our society. And I was like, oh no, I kind of like s'mores too, but you're right, aren't you?
It's just so much. It's just like, none of it is like good or healthy or nutritionist. It's all just shit put together, that all constructed shit we put together to make our, I'm really happy we didn't get fucking Emma Stone in this movie. Just saying that she was initially cast. I don't know. I'm like, huh?
You happy we didn't get Emma Stone?
Oh wait, Emma Stone. I think it was Emma Watson for some reason. No, never mind.
I was gonna say Emma Stone actually.
No.
I love Anya Taylor-Joy.
No, I want that movie now. I'm shit. I just realized. And I think that's the thing with the menu though. To me, was like when I walked out, I'm like the satire thing, but I'm like, sometimes I was like, this was just kind of fun.
Yeah, sometimes it's just fun to hang out with Anya Taylor-Joy and Ralph Fiennes for 2 hours.
Yeah, and it's like straight up, and it wasn't like the perfect film, but at the same time, I was like, I'm excited to watch it again. It was fun. Yeah. I'm gonna watch it again. I don't think like Glass Onion is a cutting edge like social commentary, but it's just like that was fun. Fun to see. It's fun to see those people kind of squirm.
I don't think cutting edge social commentary often makes for interesting movies. I think that is having those two things work hand in hand is how you get a masterpiece. And there's a reason that there's like, it's rare to have a movie that is that good. Not every movie can or should be fucking, like, speaking of Steven Spielberg, Schindler's List. Like, not every movie should be that. And I wouldn't want it to be. Sometimes shit is just fun. I was talking about Ticket to Paradise with my sister the other day because she'd seen it with her friends. That she said a terrible movie, and it is. But like for the people that like that sort of shit, it's like their Super Bowl. It was just beautiful people on an island hanging out with each other. And then there's one scene where Julia Roberts raps, which is fun.
Thanks for putting that in my mind. Let's move on to the next topic.
All right, let's talk about Lorenzo De Felici's Kroma, which is the first issue of the new Image fantasy book. I think that's. I don't know why I said fantasy like it was a question when there was a giant lizard.
There's giant lizard.
Until that moment, I kind of thought that the reveal was going to be, or like not the reveal, but like it was going to be that none of this was true. That like the myth that this world was built on and like this fake religion, or that it was a fake
well, then
religion.
we would have just gotten The Giver again, though. That would have been. That's the only problem.
Don't start me on The Giver. They make children read it like it's a good book. And then you grow up and you're thinking the whole time, The Giver was good, right? And then you like remember it as an adult and you're like, this book is fucking trash? Why did they teach it to every 7th grader?
Because they were like, let's make you think. And then it's just like, we thought about you. What did I think about?
You didn't think about anything? I hate that. Oh, Corey, you made me so mad by mentioning The Giver. This book is better than The Giver. I'll say that now.
Yeah, it is. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that if that was the case, it would have been like color is thing all the time. And I'm like,
I do think
I was worried they were gonna do that, and I'm happy that they didn't go in that direction.
Yeah, I think it actually, like, I agree with you that I think it's an effective decision to make in a sense the religious zealots right. It's sort of like, it reminds me of Game of Thrones, where like the Red Lady and her religion are obviously, like, especially as the show goes on, they become more and more evil. But then you have to keep reminding yourselves, well, they are right. Like,
Yeah.
she did birth a demon that killed a king. Like, these guys, they're not wrong. So I don't know. Maybe we listen to them. I'm not saying we burn all the children, but
not
like
all
one
the
or two
children,
kids.
She brought back the main character of the show. I mean, like, for the most part, she did more good than bad.
I'm just saying. Now we have.
I've been watching Dark, man. That entire show was like, I'm kind of rooting for the apocalypse sometimes.
Hey,
I'm not trying to spoil anything.
Listen, maybe one day we'll do it. That would be very weird if we did a Dark episode.
I don't think we could. I think we need pictures and stuff. I think I need a chart and a PowerPoint presentation for that fucking show.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the YouTube channel's for. Don't forget to like and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen.
The 3 years later, like Cory explains Dark to you.
It's because we hate SEO and click-through rate. That's how we're gonna do it.
I spent 3 weeks working on this. Why? Because I thought it was funny.
But do you want to run down the general plot of this first issue of Kroma for the people?
Sure thing. We find ourselves, as Che mentioned, in a seems like post-apocalyptic kind of society where everything's set back to like sword and stone and all that kind of fun stuff in a very black and white gray comic. And at first we actually open up with a very, very beautiful bird getting killed by a fucking hawk.
Great, honestly. Beautifully done.
Beautifully, because all in color as we fly over a gray walled-in city. The bird falls to the ground and like it's just like it's the only color in this sea of gray, where it's like this.
I mean, speaking of like on the nose metaphor that is effective, that's like a great way to open your book about like how color and like black and white have like sort of killed each other in this world, and it's just like great opening by Dave Felici here.
And then we kind of cut to seemingly a couple years later, where we follow a group of boys led by Zet, as they go approach what seems to be some kind of tradition that's fallen into the village, where there's a giant black stone or black egg in the middle of the town square. The leader, aka the Maccabi of the town, comes out and releases the beast, in air quotes, for the city people to go capture as a way to show the evil king / god that has cursed them to be into this society through the threat of lizard monsters, to show the king that they are not necessarily afraid of him. This all seems kind of fishy, but mob mentality and all that stuff like that.
Real like The Lottery vibes, if people know that.
Very much.
Famous short story.
As they release the monster, it's a humanoid shaped like kind of lizard thing, whatever. It seems a little bit
skull head.
Yeah, skull and bones all over it. It seems a bit fishy with what's happening. But the people chase after it, and honestly, it was a pretty quick chase. Within like two pages, the townspeople are kicking the shit out of this monster. We get at the very end of the reveal though that like our main character Zet sees that underneath the mask it is a bloodied girl with blue eyes. So, I mean, obviously after this, it's been kind of messing with Zed because he's like, everyone assumes it's just a monster and not actually a person under there.
This like haunts Zed as he comes to visit. He comes back to the tower where this girl is captured, and basically he's like trying to figure out what's going on. Like he's like, I thought you were a monster. They keep telling us because he's been fully indoctrinated by this religion. We find out actually that the reason that Zet is like an orphan slash, I guess what you would call him is like a disciple or
seemed like a ward of the state being groomed or something. Basically, like
is because the Maccabi had his mother killed for
witchcraft,
treachery, witchcraft.
We'd have no idea what that entails or why she was a witch.
Right. I suspect the reveal will be she didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, I'm 100%. Yeah.
If I had to guess, but yeah,
I would love it though if she did do something wrong. That would be very fun to me. I'm sorry. Let's continue though.
It would be an interesting twist on the expectations of the plot for sure. But Zet comes back 3 times, I think. The third time after visiting this girl in the tower, he's trying to figure out what's going on and try to show her kindness. He takes her out onto the balcony of her tower after drugging the guard that is watching her, to look over onto the forest where outside of this city that has been intentionally devoid of color, is a beautiful like fall foliage basically, and shows her the first color she's ever seen in her life. And she has like heterochromia. She's one green and one blue eye. It turns out she doesn't even know that she has green and blue eyes. Doesn't know the names of colors. So it seems like she's been kept in this prison since birth. And then we get, I think, a very bold way to end this first issue with our character Zet getting stabbed unceremoniously through the back by an unseen assailant to end on the last page of this book. I thought
it seems like to me I just
perfect, but I thought this ending was perfect. I think
the ending is great.
Yeah,
very very off guard with it. I think it was the guard that he drugged because the guard also had a spear, so I gotta assume that
similar. I mean, the reveal might be that that it wasn't it, but the guess is I think the guard, or maybe it's the Maccabi himself. That might be a number of things, but basically Zed is the character we've been with this whole first issue. This begs the question, though. It does seem like his mother was going to play a part in the story going forward, but without Zet in the story, unless Dave Felici does like a jumping back and forth thing, which would I think be.
I mean, if anything, in my mind, we might end up getting like a time skip or something like that. Because I think he said like every 10 years, and I wouldn't be surprised if we just aged up our Kroma, and maybe do something with that going forward.
Well, he said every 10 moons, which
every 10
I was
moons?
confused
Oh,
about.
wait,
do they
what?
do this, like,
That's quick.
Yeah, do this have like 5 months? Is that what
Well,
that is?
actually, I don't know. Maybe every 10 moons means cycles of the moon.
Isn't that every month? Am I
that
wrong?
So maybe
I'm
10
not
months?
like a moon guy, so
So maybe, I guess every 10 months then. Maybe like
which
every
seems
cycle of.
too often for your
That's
weird...
a pretty. Yeah, that's for your weird.
Even Christmas is every 12 months. Like
Yeah, like you're running around beating the shit out of things. Like that's
also,
fun.
there's little girls getting beat to like near death every 10 months. She'd be like hobbled over.
Yeah.
She wouldn't be able to walk. Come on. Yeah, I think this book. So Dave Felici. Well, people will probably recognize his name. Comic book fans will recognize him as the co-creator and artist behind Oblivion Song, Robert Kirkman's sci-fi book that I think we talked about like the first issue of a while.
Yeah, and
ago.
I actually did finish it, and I thought, yeah, I just ended. I would give that book a read. It's pretty fun. It's good sci-fi.
Yeah.
Nothing groundbreaking, but good sci-fi, great monster designs. The art's great in this, and I'm happy to see that this person's as good of an author as he is a writer.
Well, so
because
I guess that's
excited to see more monsters from this guy because he makes a very cool monster.
I love the art. I think the color is great. I do think the concept, as we talked about, is really clean, really cool idea. Using color in this way in your story, and the setting, the setting of this religious cult in this city in this post-apocalyptic world where it seems like at least what they're being told is like all the people that are still left alive on Earth live in this city, or maybe like one or two of cities similar to this across the globe. I will say, my first time reading this, I was like 5 pages in, and I had to page back to the opening credits to see if there was a translator, because I think the dialogue is pretty clunky. I like the narrative, but I wish he'd gotten maybe a better editor or something.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be. It was definitely a bit too long, and I really don't think he should have honestly gone back to the girl that many times. I think we probably would have got that done in one scene. And I guess what I mean, I think I like the story, but I will agree with you. I mean, dialogue is very. I'm
dialogue is issue 2 of this.
Dialogue is definitely half the writing when it comes to comics, and I think there was some exposition to me where I think it was like one page where it's like, I've always known you were smart and intelligent, and that's why I'm like, okay, you don't have to say all that, but.
Yeah, I think there are moments in this book that I think are undercut by the dialogue, but by the quality of the dialogue, but not so much so that I would go so far as to not recommend this book. I really enjoyed it. I think especially that action sequence where they come across the big lizards and they're running back to the city is really well, like, I don't even remember, really well drawn, really well oriented. I always say like directed because I'm thinking like it's a movie, but obviously he didn't direct.
I mean, also, by the way, like, we don't necessarily know if it has something to do with his like, you know, he is Italian, so maybe there might be something like,
yeah, it's I mean, almost certainly this is a second language. Either whatever the reason, I just think that the dialogue in this is not up to par, and like you said, it's half the battle really. Like a great story is obviously the most important thing. Maybe not half the battle. It's like 45% of the battle is having great dialogue, but yeah, I thought this first issue was really effective, and I'm interested to see where it goes going forward, especially because I think Dave Felici has like a great eye for the art in this. So even just the art going forward would be a ton of fun. It was one of my favorite parts of Oblivion Song, which is, like you said, like a okay sci-fi, but art was really good.
But yeah, I think I'm gonna check out the next issue of Kroma. I mean, like I did like this one. I mean, I'm gonna check out the next one.
Yeah.
But yeah, Shay, do you want to take a quick break before we come back and talk another comic?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. See you guys in a second.
How's your leg?
It hurts a little.
And your stomach?
Empty as a football.
And do you love life?
Not too active.
Anything else bothering you?
Mm-hmm. Who are you?
Reading from top to bottom. Lisa. Carol. Fremont.
Is this the Lisa Fremont who never wears the same dress twice?
Only because it's expected of her. It's right off the Paris plane. You think it'll sell?
And we're back.
So,
all right, so we are talking about the 6th issue and the end of volume 2 of Ed Brubaker and Marcos Martin's Friday, the fantasy, apparently, mystery book that's like sort of if Ramona Quimby chain smoked cigarettes and said fuck a lot. Is that fair?
yeah, very fair. I think if you guys have, we talked about this book in the past, but basically, like, imagine like a grown up, I don't know, really, not even grown up, but like Hardy Boys esque mysteries where the main boy stayed back in town and his sidekick partner went off to college.
Yeah.
And she returns home after she was found dead or murdered. It was mysterious circumstances, basically, and part of it is this. Most of the story has been trying to figure out what happened to him. And we've gone from a very simple mystery to what seems to have become a bit of a supernatural type of story.
Yeah, which
And Che and I were talking about this.
I've sort of landed on what I think about this, which is
Okay.
I kind of wish it hadn't. I don't think it's bad. I don't. It's that.
And I gotta say,
it's
we
still
can't
good.
say it's not something that came out of nowhere either, because it was hinted at in the first issue.
But
we
I
just didn't
really.
I just didn't know
like
it
a
was
hallucination or something.
I thought it was gonna be something funky, but I thought it was gonna be one of those funky things that like never was fully explained in the background.
Yeah.
And
I thought. I think you got it. I thought it would be like weird, sort of inexplicable stuff happened. I didn't think we would see literal tentacle demon monster, which I don't.
Also time travel.
Yeah.
Also time travel.
But again, I'm not saying this is bad. It's just not where I would have wanted this book to go.
Yeah, I'm the same with you, and I think it really just gonna depend. Like, which is why I was like in the break, I was saying to Che, like, I wish these books came out more consistently, because if we like had a better release schedule, I would feel a little bit more confident. But I don't think I'm gonna get to the end of Volume 3 until probably 2024.
Yeah. So just for the record, we're 6 issues in for people who don't remember, and this book dropped during the like comic book hiatus sort of near the beginning of the pandemic in 2020. So I'm maybe like at the latest, this book started in like June of 2020, and we're 6 issues in at the end of 2022. So that's what we're working with here.
Yeah. So it's like, and I'm like, I like checking in issue to issue, but like this jump into something that they're going to have to either explain a lot or we're going to be taking it in a bit of a different direction. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. Because I think at the core of this, I'm hoping it sticks to being a mystery book. Or at least like trying to solve the crime kind of mystery book.
Yeah.
Even though we've gotten thrown with these elements. And I think like they can definitely still swing that. But I'm right there with you where I did this change and I'm like, if I wanted this kind of mystery, I kind of was like, didn't really want this. I was hoping this, wouldn't be literal monsters. Like if it was literal monsters from the get-go, I think I would be a lot more on board with it. But I kind of like, from this, it was just like kind of more of like a very different take on those like young adult novels, basically. And that's what I kind of was digging, especially with the art and the setting. And I think it's just such a fun setting. I think they established some very great characters too. Mm-hmm. And I like the Secret Society. I thought the Secret Society was cool. And even
I think almost every other element in this book I'm really into, which is I think why I got sort of not bummed out. It's just strong. It's just not my preference. I just got sort of disappointed when it got really horror sci-fi, and I just horror fantasy.
I can get that.
I also think Brubaker's at his best when his stuff is like really grounded in reality. Those of you guys who have ever listened to our end of year stuff know I'm a massive Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips head, and all their stuff is like true to life, just regular ass people going through hard shit. Pulp, my heroes were always drug addicts, my heroes were always junkies. Even like Cruel Summer, all this stuff is like pretty, just very. Oftentimes there's no fantasy elements at all it's all true to life stuff, or even if there are in his books, it's more subtle. And maybe that's what this would be. Maybe this is just one episode, one wild issue to end the volume, and then we'll go back to sort of like nose to the ground detective shit in the issues going forward. Which
I could definitely see. Even like with this shift at the end of the story, I could definitely see that it's not like they're going to be fighting monsters or anything like that, but I definitely think there's going to be some more, like I'm really hoping it still like involves some sleuthing and stuff like that. It's just going to be kind of I just kind of hope it's just like not becoming, I just hope it doesn't become like just a time travel story or some bootstrap paradoxes. Yeah. I've had enough time travel for the last fucking week, all right? I'm just like, I got to get away from that. So I'm hoping that it's dark. And my brain's broken from that. But I mean, like, even with like one of my favorite like Marvel runs, his Winter Soldier run, which used a little bit of like supernatural shit, but he did it in a way where it's like, this is part of the plot, but it's not what the plot is. And I'm hoping that's what is going to happen in this. I mean, I have no reason to even doubt Brubaker. I'm just kind of, I was like really enjoying the story for what it was initially. I mean, especially like with his Daredevil stuff too, where it's just like very like, as you said, grounded.
And I think we both sound maybe more down on this story than we actually are.
I'm enjoying it.
I really like Friday. And I'm with you that I wish everything from Panel Syndicate came more often. That the Bad Karma book is even worse than Friday. I think there's only been 5 issues of Bad Karma, and it started the same week as this book. It's just like,
and the pacing is and I feel like at least with Friday, a lot has happened in these 6 issues. But I like Bad Karma, but I feel like not a lot has really happened.
I'm also sort of I think maybe Bad Karma's over. I think unfortunately. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to know with Panel Syndicate, which is all very much like it's all what's the word, user supported. Like you pay what you want. You could get it for free if you wanted to, or you can pay X number of dollars. And I think only Friday of the books that started in the pandemic, they had a few other ones that have got trades, but I think only Friday has gotten a trade.
I think was like Black Hand. Wait, I don't know when was it Black Hand and
Black Hand and Ironhead started.
I don't know when that's pandemic. Okay. Yeah, because I think
there was a second volume that started during like.
That's right. Yeah. I own the volume. I think I own the first volume of that book.
Yeah. I mean, they also did Barrier by Brian K. Vaughan before that too, which is another one that you can pick up that ran on Panel Syndicate. I think issue to issue, and then got published by Image in collected form. So I listen. I think
same with
really...
you say Private Eye just now. I can't Sorry,
No, I didn't, but that's another one. Yeah, Private.
That's another one. I like Private Eye a lot too. That's also I think I definitely own a copy of that. Very weird book to own though, since it's like wide,
I think
meant for a computer screen.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Yeah, I think a lot. I mean, almost everything.
I think they stopped doing that.
Is really good.
Yeah.
Which is also why it's annoying when they don't publish this shit. Like I kind of wish we were like at the end of Friday. I think I wish Friday had concluded by now and then we could talk about the story, or the overarching plot of the story. But it's hard because, kind of like you said about Bad Karma, a lot of stuff has happened, but it does feel like in a weird way we're sort of just starting the story. It just turned we just met our big villains. We just found out that actually all this stuff is connected, and is at the heart of it is this like cabal of 5 random people that, again, we just literally met them this issue. These people that have apparently been pulling all the strings this whole time, that killed her friend Lancelot Jones, which is again a real character's name in this book.
Insane, but I mean that's part of the whole.
No. I'm not. Her name's Friday. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's the point.
it's great.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It was like a fucking like I like this whole like take on this entire like genre where it's like years later like, and I don't. This is not what as much as I want the Velma show to be this. That's not what that show is going to be, but that was
Mindy Kaling show. No, I don't think
yeah.
so.
No. I don't think so either. But I'm saying when I heard the idea for the show, I'm like, this is a good idea.
Yeah.
And I don't think that idea is gonna be what I wanted.
Actually, what this is more akin to is the Veronica Mars reboot.
There it is. That's a much better. That's much better.
I think was unfortunately like sort of unheralded. Got, I think, one of the early big like Kickstarter things, right?
I think it was around that time, yeah.
Where they sort of like funded the first season or at least the pilot through Kickstarter. I can't remember exactly. And then 2 or 3 years ago was on Hulu, and I think actually good, but for some reason didn't really get the viewership.
It's hard to nail those revivals.
Well, I think this is if you talked about Glass Onion earlier, and we will talk about it more in depth later. But if that has showed us anything, is that people have a real desire for these kind of stories. I kind of don't really get why we're not getting more stuff like that. And like See How They Run, a movie we talked about earlier, which is a movie I just really, really liked. I just wish we got more stuff like that. I
think we're gonna get on a backswing, and I think also the unfortunate thing about it is that much as I like Kenneth Branagh, somebody take away the Agatha Christie rights from him because those aren't good. I was thinking about Death in the Nile while I was watching last night, and I'm like, you know what? That movie fucking sucked. And I was just mad about it.
I still think Murder on the Orient Express is fine, but I also think
I like Murder. I think Murder on the Orient Express it's just fine. Yeah. I think the original one is very good.
Here's my take. And I think I had this take when we talked about Death in the Nile, the movie, so it's not news to anybody, but listen, entire country of the UK, don't come for me. I don't actually think Agatha Christie's that good.
I think
maybe we should write some original mysteries because I don't think her shit is that good.
Oh my, whatever, fuck off. Let's not do this.
Fine.
No, I think you're wrong. Let's just not get into this right now. All right, we got a whole ass.
I didn't realize you were like a big ass.
I've read a lot of Agatha Christie.
I read a lot of Agatha Christie too. I think she's okay.
I think whatever. You can't invent a genre. Whatever. All right, let's take a quick break and then come back in. We're gonna talk the first season of Andor.
That wasn't on my bingo cards. Was not Corey being mad I don't like Agatha Christie this episode. I have to be honest with you.
I just said go to a break.
Okay, we could go to a break.
What? I need a reason. Don't say money. Why do this? Why not do it? Because yesterday I walked out of the joint after losing 4 years of my life, and you're cold decking Teen Beat cover boys. Because the house always wins. Play long enough, you never change the stakes, the house takes you. Unless, when that perfect hand comes along, you bet big, and then you take the house.
Been practicing that speech, haven't you?
A little bit. Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed it.
No, it was good. I liked it. Team Beat thing was harsh. I wonder what Ruben will say.
And we're back.
What's up?
All right, it's time. It's fucking time finally. I don't think we've actually talked about the show yet on the podcast.
No, we tried to 2 weeks ago, but Che had the episode numbers wrong, so we didn't. We ended up booting
Wikipedia
it.
said it was only 11 episodes for some reason.
That's
That was
fair.
very annoying, but yes.
That's very fair.
We are going to be talking about the Tony Gilroy. Yes, that Tony Gilroy created Star Wars show, which is a prequel to the prequel that you guys knew and love, Rogue One, which he also directed.
Wait, he did?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
No, sorry. He wrote it. He wrote it. Gareth Evans directed it.
That's what to say. I was like, I think it was Gareth.
Gareth Edwards.
Wait, hold on. It's the second time we talked about him in the episode?
No, this is Gareth Edwards, who is. If Gareth Evans had directed Rogue One, Corey, I wouldn't be here. I'd be on the fucking.
I straight up have thought this entire time that Gareth Evans, like, I thought it was the same person who directed this. Like, I legitimately thought it was the same guy.
No, Gareth Edwards is the guy who brought us Godzilla 2014. So
yes.
So Tony Gilroy wrote Rogue One. Sorry, I didn't direct it. That was Gareth Edwards. Edwards? What's happening? Edwards.
I don't know.
And he created and wrote the first 3 episodes and the finale. His brother Dan Gilroy wrote 4 through 6, and then a couple names I don't really recognize. Stephen Schiff and Bo Willman directed or wrote the rest. So, but obviously this is, like I said, Tony Gilroy created this. He's got his fingers in the pot or whatever, and because of that, it has real Rogue One vibes. If you have seen Rogue One, Andor will feel very, very similar for a number of reasons. And this brings us to Che's thoughts on Star Wars, which is that they should all be Rogue One. All Star Wars movies should be Rogue One. And that's why I fucking love this show. I'm so happy it exists.
Well, I think, like, if between this and The Mandalorian in my eyes, they're just like, yeah, make it like, I hate to say make it gritty, but, like, just make it, like, a bit more grounded. I think, like, we got way too into the Space Wizards weeds, and we gotta, like, kind of, like, I think this is a different side of Star Wars, and it created such a fun universe that, like, when we get this person on the ground, especially with Andor, where he's just a guy, it's just such a very fun, like, angle to look at, like, especially the Empire itself.
Yeah.
I think, like, having the Empire in this and Rogue One has made them seem like fucking menacing the ways that the movies actually have never been able to do.
It didn't really hit me until I watched even in Rogue One. It's not super. It doesn't really get.
We're gonna be spoilers, guys. If that wasn't indicative.
If you haven't seen Andor, get the fuck out of here. Appreciate your listening and all that good stuff, but don't spoil the show for yourself. But yeah, Rogue One was brutal in a way that felt true. Like, people always talk about it as like, oh, this like feels like a war movie set in Star Wars, which I think was the point. That's what Gilroy and Edwards were going for, and they did it successfully. What it doesn't do that this show does really well is show how using the word real or like true feels silly in Star Wars, but like the Empire is supposed to be this stand-in for the Nazis and like fascist regimes in general.
And they're called stormtroopers.
Right, they're called stormtroopers, and every time you see them, they're like walking around in these like fascist lines with their fascist boots. And if you've ever seen like the opening, I think of The Force Awakens, it looks like every World War II movie you've ever seen with the red banners behind them.
That opening of Force Awakens when they get out the ship and everyone's just getting slaughtered was like, yes, can we just have the rest of these movies be like this? And they didn't do that. And let me not get on my.
But
don't get me started, please.
The thing that I think is effective about about Andor that I didn't realize was missing from Star Wars until this movie, and maybe it exists in the books. I never read any of the books, so apologies to like big Star Wars book fans. Well, actually, not apologies. I don't really care.
Don't worry about it, man. Their books got completely wiped away from canon, so everything those people read, not important anymore, motherfucker.
I mean, it wasn't important to begin with, to be honest, but so be it. But
we
what
read
it
comic
shows,
books, Jay. I cannot throw stones at glass houses with.
No,
this.
it's not a commentary. I just don't give a shit about them.
No, that's fair.
But what it does successfully is it makes what the Empire is doing feel real to the viewer. All the stuff we see on Ferrix, where there's like this basically occupation happening, and then in the last act of the season in the prison is this evil fascist regime, which obviously, like, Darth Vader lauded as one of the most evil villains in the history of cinema, but a lot of that is sort of like great costume design, great music, and like you don't really see him do a lot of truly insidious shit, except for he kills a bunch of minions while he's walking down hallways and stuff, which is obviously scary.
Yeah.
But he's supposed to be Hitler, Mussolini. He's supposed to be this fascist dictator, or really like he's the henchman of a fascist dictator or whatever.
Yes.
But he's supposed to be part of this fascist dictatorship. And in Andor, we really see what that looks like for the people of the rebellion and why people are willing to die for this cause, because the other option is to live in the shroud of like true evil. And that's why I think the show was so successful.
And I also think like and I think that's what made the last episode to me work so well. Where Cassian's stand-in mother Marva and has that speech, and it's just like the theme of the entire show is spelled out, but not in the way to like be like you should feel dumb for like this, but it just feels so like the way they develop in that scene, and then like the sweeping drone shot of everybody was just, that entire scene itself was incredible. Yeah. But I think I do love her speech in it, where it's just like, this is why it resonates. This is like why this kind of works. And this is why I kind of like Cassian's character, where his trend from being like, I'm just trying to stay in my own lane to becoming, as we see in Rogue One, someone who's like believes in the cause so much that he's willing to sacrifice innocent lives, which makes him just like, I mean, even also the show's making me like Cassian's like final part of what we see his character. And that's why I'm excited for his second season, where it's just like this character who's not a good person, but is on like the right side basically. And I'm excited to see like his transition. And we've already kind of seen it in this show. And I do like that we have a main character in Star Wars who is just straight up brutal like this. Yeah. Like when he was going through to rescue Bix, and he was just like, most other people would just like knock out somebody, just fucking shot him. And I'm like, oh yeah, people, it's in a war. Right. You can't just do the whole like knock somebody out in the back of the head and like, you know, just, but it's like, this is like, you know, and Cassian feels like he's actually a soldier in this war, which is what I like. And also like, we're not even getting to the character of, fucking Luther. Is it Luther? Not Luther.
Stellan Skarsgård's character, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Luthen. Luthen. I think real. It's Rael. Luthen is what they call
Luthen.
It. The scene where Luthen is talking to Forrest Whitaker's character, who I should remember because he's in Rogue One.
Oh my God. Saul Guerrero.
Saul Guerrero. Who is, I mean, again, just no subtlety at all. I mean, how close is that to Che Guevara? Like they just.
What are you talking about?
Okay, Corey.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I have no problem with it. I love it. Don't there's no knock from me. But
we talked about it today. Subtlety is dead.
It's not. And
that's okay.
Yeah. But the scene where they decide to let 30 men die because it is in service of this cause is one. I think you just get two legends acting across from each other. Stellan Skarsgård and Forrest Whitaker are so good in that scene, but it also just, it sums up the show so well. It's like these people, like you were saying, the show is not actually a show about a bunch of good people. People, even the heroes that we like, they're trying to kill each other at different points. When the heist splits up, we see Cassian one. He betrays the last living heist member at the doctor's.
I don't think that's betraying.
Well, like that's what betray. Yeah. He runs away. He looks out for himself first, which is again, that's what we believe from Cassian. But also, it's just we find out sort of along the way that actually none of these people are really the good guys,
and they're just even like
they're willing to do bad stuff in service of the right side so that the good people can go on living. And like Luthen has said that's the scene where Luthen's talking to his spy in the Empire when he comes down on the elevator, and Luthen is like, the thing I've sacrificed is like, I know I'm going to die alone. I'm not going to have any loved ones. I don't have anybody to go home to. What I've done is I've sacrificed my happiness so that people can go forward and live a good life if we are ever successful. And he knows that he's never going to get to see what that success looks like. And just
I
shout
agree
out
with
to
you.
Gil Ray. Like this show's so well written.
Also, it's also shout out to that scene though, where I just love the fact that he's like, it's very like he's draped like he's like a Sith
Yeah.
bad guy
Yeah.
in Star Wars. He's like his old like black cape on like if the wind is like he's the bad guy
Right.
technically. I mean, hell, even in our finale, the stormtroopers and the Empire want to take Cassian back alive. The rebels just want to kill him.
I just want him dead. Yeah.
I
I
think
will.
it's-
Should we talk about the last shot now, or should we save it for later in the discussion?
I think we're about to get there. So you know what? Fuck it, we can talk about it now.
I'm a little obviously I think a little that part of it, literally just the last part where he's like,
We're talking about the after credit scene. Oh, never mind.
No, sorry, just the literally the last shot of the actual show where he's like, where you see he sneaks into Luthen's ship and he says kill him. I think it's a slightly undercut, and is I think the only part of that episode that I thought is a little weak because one, we know he's not gonna die. And
That'd
two,
be
I don't
wild,
really
though.
get it.
Zombie.
I'm not sure I get the motivation there. And I'm wondering if you had any read on it that I'm missing.
I guess to me, at this point, is like, I guess he's just trying to like maybe establish some kind of like faith back in it. Because I mean, at this point, it seems like Cassian has bought into like the rebel Kool-Aid,
Yes.
essentially.
Yeah.
And I guess
that's his character. We were talking about like what's his character arc
Yeah.
gonna be when we were, and I will say this: we were both very skeptical on the show beforehand.
oh, very,
I've been
absolutely.
proven incredibly wrong.
I'm
It's-
okay, but yeah,
I think
I'm
it's
okay
my
by-
favorite
yeah.
Star Wars thing ever by a long
I
shot.
love being wrong about shit like
Yes.
this. I'm happy when things are good. I'm really, really happy that this was like my favorite Star Wars show so far.
Yeah.
But I guess to me it was just more of like I'm now willing to sacrifice myself and give myself up to you as a way to be like. Beforehand, he was very much like I'm looking out for myself, and I guess it's just maybe for Cassian's character, it's just like instead of like doing everything possible so that his life is not in the hands of somebody else, to the point of being like I now trust my life and I now trust. Yeah, exactly. That's what I think. Basically, what he's saying is like I put my life into your hands, basically.
Yeah. Okay. I sort of get. I think
that's
the
that's
gesture
also
is weird though. But the
whip gesture is weird.
The motivation I get. Yeah.
But I think it's also a very cool point for Luthen's character as well, where earlier in the same episode, he had 30 lives in the palm of his hand and he sacrificed them willingly.
Yeah.
So I think, if anything, it's also for Luthen's character as well, be like, you have the option to either, the safe option is to kill him, since he knows so much, or do you do the risk and trust your gut like you did earlier on?
Yeah.
And I think that's like and I mean, I'm really happy. I was worried about Luthen. I thought Luthen was going to fucking eat it this episode.
Yeah, I didn't think Stellan Skarsgård for a number of reasons, mostly because this is
Stellan
the
Skarsgård, yeah.
season 1 Westworld thing I thought was gonna be like, we got Anthony Hopkins for one season, let's use him well, but he's not coming back, guys. I thought Stellan Skarsgård was gonna be out, and I'm glad. It seems like he's gonna return again. It seems like season 4 we're not gonna see until 2024, which is a bit of a bummer. But
bit of a bummer. But I mean, hey, listen, this season was some damn good CGI. I can't see a single bad thing about the CGI in this season.
Well, it's almost all practical. That's why.
That's also true. But I mean, like, also, I'm talking about like the episode 6 with like the star, like the what the fuck was that?
What was it called? That had to be impressive because obviously the show up until that point. Well, we meet them in like what season or episode 2 or 3 or something. But basically, from the point that we meet them until that moment, everyone's talking about how this is going to be like it's like this life-changing event. And I was like, how are they going to capture on the screen? One, most people are watching this on like their TV screen at home. It's not going to have the effect that it could have had in like a movie theater, but it still needs to, because of all the buildup, it needs to really bang. And did it?
Yeah.
Bang. I mean, that scene is for a number of reasons. Also, like my boy Karras went out so tough. What a way to go. Just getting crushed by money? Why do my boy like that?
I think, honestly, all of, like, those characters, it was similar to Rogue One. Yeah. It was a very similar, like, to Rogue One, where, like, they're doing this thing, and everything seems to be going well, but then, like, as it goes on, you're like, there's a feeling of dread where we only end up with 2 characters at the very end.
Yeah.
Well, 3, technically, but, like, yeah, like, their spy on the inside.
Right. It is, because Cinta escapes in a different way, but the people on the ship, it's just the 2 of them.
Can I also say is I didn't understand the Cinta plotline with her and I can't remember the other girl's name. And Vel. I was not very invested in their storyline.
Well,
honestly.
I think the thing I liked about it, and I do think it's one of the weaker elements of the show, but I think only because it's not explored a ton, mostly because of like logistics. They don't get to be on screen that much together.
Yeah, they don't either. And I mean, I think they did a good enough job between their characters of being like, I get where they're standing on each other's characters, and like one of them is very like, I'm about like the cause and like that the cause is first. The other one's more like, you're first to me kind of situation.
Yeah.
But I just kind of was more, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm really getting out of this.
I think it's,
and
it's
I'm hoping they
often-
follow up like a little bit more. And it's, I guess maybe more of like, we need more people on the rebel side that's not just Luthen, basically.
Yeah, I think stuff that is a often traveled storyline in war movies in particular, which is like love succeeding in war, and I think it's usually done poorly. I wouldn't say this is so like poorly by any stretch.
Oh, I don't think it's poorly. I think this might be my main criticism, and I think it's such a little small thing to me.
It's a hard
it's
thing
like,
to execute well.
Yeah, and I don't think it doesn't bother me. I'm just like, whenever we went back to them, I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for like the shoe to drop, basically. I'm like waiting for what is the payoff here. And I just felt like there really wasn't one. But I did think we definitely need somebody on the ground, and I guess it's good on two parts to be like the rebel army is so small that the same person has to go from immediately coming from a bank heist to going to a stakeout.
Right.
Is like kind of shows how small they are in a sense. So like I said, that does work. I think it just does a good job establishing the ground. I do think both of those actresses are doing a very good job too.
I mean, once again, it's easier said than done, but here are the recipes to make a good television show. Get a good writer, Tony Gilroy, check. Cast a bunch of amazing actors. The entire cast of this fucking show, check. Shoot TV show. It's like from top to bottom. And one, I mean, just quickly for just gonna run down the absolute legends in the show. We obviously touched on Stellan Skarsgård, Fiona Shaw, incredible. We've got Diego Luna, who's playing Cassian, obviously. Adria Arjona, who's having like the run of the century. She's been in like everybody's favorite movie for the last year, and also was in Morbius, which is.
Let's not talk about it.
I mean, listen, you got to get a fucking paycheck, dog.
Get your money. No, absolutely, make your money.
I think my favorite performance, or I think maybe the more underappreciated performance, is Denise Go, who plays Deidre Miro, who's the main focused at the Empire.
She's basically our Empire CIA stand-in.
What
person.
a great idea to have this view into the Empire, where we see the evil that is inherent in the bureaucracy of you have like these tiny departments. They refuse to talk to each other. There's like this silly, stupid infighting. Again, shout out to Doc Brown, Taskmaster alumni, and also like British comedy legend, also was in this show.
That guy, oh my god, that's why I recognized his ass. I was like, this motherfucker looks familiar as shit.
I thought when he was in the first episode, it was going to be like first or second episode was going to be like a small cameo, and he's like a pretty big part of the show. So
yeah, it seems like he'll probably be a part of the next season because her career is tanked right now.
Wait, why? You mean when all the people on the planet she was supposed to be protecting died?
I like how that planet has just become like a fucking that planet is getting Death Star at some point. That planet gonna get Death Star.
But we should talk about our boy, who makes his triumphant return to Star Wars after getting double shafted by both J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson. Is Andy Serkis in, I think, the best part of the show for me? So there's three. I think there's three distinct parts. There's pre-arrest on Ferrix. There is in the prison, which is what's the prison called again? Narkina. So there's four parts actually. There's Ferrix pre the heist. There's the heist on Aldhani. Then there's the prison Narkina 5, and then there's the post prison escape. I love them all, but for me, if somebody was like, only one of these, you get one thing that's a whole season, I think I would have taken the prison for a whole season, which is crazy to say because they kind of just do manual labor all day. But Andy Serkis was so good.
He was so good in it. Like the set of that was just amazing too. Like all of it was just so like. It was like so, but it made like all of it just felt like this is what Empire Prison would be.
Yeah,
it's not dirty. It's far too clean. Yeah. It just all feels like very
understaffed and like
super. Yeah, it just because it's like also like relies so much on like the Empire's like kind of confidence too, because like
The
all we really need-
arrogance
yeah.
of the Empire.
The arrogance,
is like the theme of this show in a lot of
I think
ways.
that's the theme of
They've gotten
Star
too
Wars.
big. Yes.
That's the theme of Star Wars, though, I think, as well. It's just like, it's taking down this body that believed itself to be invincible.
Yeah.
I mean, like all the way through, like, when the Emperor dying in episode 6, like, he just was like, I control Darth Vader, and then Darth Vader yeeted him into a hole.
Right.
And then somehow he got better from getting yeeted into a hole, but we don't have to talk about episode 9, so... Just somehow he returned is still one of the most frustrating writing things I've ever seen in my life.
Well,
Just,
it's in a lot of ways. I think it is relevant to this conversation though, because I think what happened to Star Wars, and I'll be the first to admit, even like quote unquote the good Star Wars, like 4 and 5, and I think some people would argue 7 is up there.
I like 7. I do like 7. I will say, like, I thought 7 was like a very good starting point.
Right.
It was just very much like, I mean,
it
that's
gets
the thing with, like,
undercut pretty.
the Marvel.
quickly.
It's like the thing of like planning, and I think like Marvel movies, they plan their shit out, and it just felt like Star Wars didn't really plan it out, and I was like, that's a very weird decision to me to like not have that laid out when you started episode 7. It seemed like they got the rights and they were like, let's just make a movie. And it's like, you guys could have just taken a breather and got it.
So I guess the thing, my point about Star Wars is that it feels like in a lot of ways, ironically, it becomes sort of like the Empire, where it was sort of too big to fail. And in a way, again, I don't want, this is like I think being more harsh than I wanted to sound, but I don't really have other words for it. It's sort of lazy, where they would just rerun the same shit over and over again, to the point where like, I didn't finish Boba Fett, but doesn't Boba Fett just become the Mandalorian halfway through the show for some reason?
Boba Fett wasn't a good show. I don't have any like, yeah, basically the Boba Fett show was like, looking back at it, it was a lot of just like, you know, I'm like, and I liked Robert Rodriguez. I don't think I've seen anything like, I'm trying to think of like many movies of his.
I'm not a big Robert Rodriguez fan.
Yeah, I'm not. Like, I mean, I love Desperado.
Yeah.
I think that's one of my like favorite '90s movies. Dusk Till Dawn is also very fun, and like in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is a really good idea to give him like a Western.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, Mandalorian did the Western so fucking well that it was just frustrating to me. I'm like, you should have got Jon Favreau to fucking do this thing. Like, it shouldn't even. And honestly, I don't think we even needed a Boba Fett show. I think it was just cool we should have Mandalorian.
And same thing
it
with
was
Obi-Wan.
like, oh,
like,
he's in
who was
Mandalorian.
asking for this Obi-Wan show?
I thought I was asking for the Obi-Wan show. I thought that would have been like a cool idea. I mean, we have Ewan McGregor. You could have used it. They just didn't write it well.
I just think that version of that character is so bereft of anything interesting because of how bad the prequels are. And like,
I just think there's a good way to write that. I think though there's like you could have taken that character in that span and did a very like simple like man with no name story or some shit like that. Just very like something similar. But that is the Mandalorian still again though. So it's like I mean Star Wars
though is why keep retreading these ideas where I think the thing that's good about Star Wars and the MCU to an extent, and even if they ever decide to get their shit together, DCEU, the thing that's really good about them is that, well, yes, I'm just saying but is that they have a draw that is separate from the quality of the movies. No matter what the movie is, there's like a threshold of people that are going to come out and see your shit. If it's a Star Wars movie, Star Wars TV show, etc. Although in a weird way, that doesn't seem to have worked for Andor, but that's a different topic. But I think what that affords you is some element of risk. And the thing I love about Andor is it's a risk. It is something different that Disney and Star Wars have never done before. And in a way, it like made me see, like when I'm watching it, I texted Corey this a lot. It's like made me annoyed at all the other Star Wars shit I've seen over the last decade in a lot of ways. Because it's just like, why isn't this what they're doing with this property that could be really interesting and fun and like really adult? I just don't know if kids give a fuck about Star Wars. So why do we keep making kids Star Wars movies?
I think it used to be toys.
Yeah, but I just don't know if that's the case. I'm surely there are kids who still love Star Wars, but I also think those kids will go see Andor and Rogue One.
Yeah. I would have liked the show as a kid. I think I really would have liked it as a kid.
And I just don't. I guess what I thought coming out of the show in a lot of ways is, if this is what Star Wars can be, Star Wars should be this all the time. Because this is great. This is so good.
I'm right there with you. I think the best the three best things that have come out of the Disney Star Wars buying was Mandalorian, Rogue One, and Andor. And I think all three of those shows were in their own thing. Yeah. I think they all kind of did like a different thing from like what Star Wars traditionally is. Where I constantly kind of get like, not I constantly, but like my belief is that the Star Wars movies are they're fantasies.
Yes. And
it seems like Mandalorian and Andor seem to be more in the sci-fi category. And I think like when you, I don't want to turn really what I'm trying to really say with this, but like it seems to me that like maybe this like kind of like you could lead those movies as like this is the legends, this is like the overarching, like this is like the stories, like the big stories where the good guys win all the time, and then have these side stories where things aren't always going as well. It's not going to plan. I mean, Rogue One, the entire cast dies at the end, which also made that scene in fucking Cassian when he's looking over the fucking when he kind of comes to his epiphany while looking over the sunrise, and I'm like, oh, this is how you die.
I wonder, do we see Felicity in season 2? You think it's supposed to come all the way up to Rogue One? I thought. I guess they don't meet each other, do they?
No, they don't meet each other till Rogue One. No, so I don't think so. Maybe like a quick quick cameo, but like I don't think they're gonna end up meeting. We should be getting Alan Tudyk Robert though.
He voiced the one in this show, right? I mean, I'm sure he did like a quick. It's like nothing. It says like nothing, but I'm pretty sure that's him voicing it. I thought.
The same tall one.
Used. I mean, it's the same thing voicing it or not, but I think they might have used a voice line from the movie, the one that comes and strangles him. Honestly, again, like a good laugh line when he's like joking him. I can't remember what the line exactly he said was, but he was like, he meant put me down or something, and he's getting like choked by this terrifying robot. Do you want to talk about your robot friend for a bit?
I mean, I don't really have much to say, but in the penultimate episode, the scene where Marva's robot, where like after she dies and they're trying to clear out the house and him just like not responding and all that, it was like it's like watching a sad dog, but the dog could speak, and I didn't need that, you know. I didn't need to like cry over a robot. Like I wasn't expecting that today. I was watching in the morning. I didn't want to start my day off like this.
Yeah, there's a sort of a magic with Star Wars in a way that they've been able to make these like obviously R2-D2, a legendary character in cinema. We've got who's the ball one?
BB-8.
BB-8. And then
C-3PO to an extent.
Yes, but I mean, I'm just talking because C-3PO is like a humanoid. That one makes even more sense. But like R2-D2 is a fucking trash can turned over with wheels on it.
This guy's just a box
for it to live. Yeah, this thing is just a box, and it's just it's voiced by Dave Chapman. So shout out to Dave Chapman. He's like a legendary English voice actor. And B2EMO is what it was called, but they called him something else. What they call him again? There was like
I think it was just B2 or something B2, like, or B, or just like B maybe. I think they were like
But yeah, I'm with you that his character especially. It seems really silly because it's a robot, but he gets this like triumphant moment where he's the one that gets to it's whatever the fuck gets to project the speech, and it's great. Also, quickly, my boy from the Empire, if you're gonna cover the thing, cover it. What did he like?
Yeah, what are you doing? Like this,
on it? What are you doing?
That guy's a fucking idiot. It's like he deserved to get fucking hit in the face with a dead woman brick.
Yeah, I
make me into a brick and hit fascists over the head with me. That's how that's
honestly, when he used her brick to start the war, I was like,
that's so cathartic. That's like, it's like, God damn it. It's just so much on top of itself where it's just like, way to think this out. This is a great way to do it.
Yeah.
But
I want to shout out Benjamin Caron who directed
yeah.
that final episode, and who directed, I think that funeral scene is the jumping back and forth between the funeral and Cassian and like Luthen and all these disparate storylines just done so well. It's like is building tension and simultaneously like really beautiful and heartbreaking.
I think the scene where they're all like converging, they're all like all of the people are converging, and then it's just that sweeping shot from the Empire's line up until them.
Yeah.
And it's one of those shots where like afterwards I'm like, wait a second, that was really fucking cool. And like it's like it didn't have to be like that, but it was just a really, really well done shot.
That's what I mean.
That's how you use a drone.
Right. Again, just to harp on what Star Wars be. It's got infinite money and it's got infinite prestige. We've seen people are willing to like big stars. Who is it? Fucking Matt Damon is like in one of the stormtrooper suits in Force Awakens or something like that.
No, the thing about Daniel Craig.
Oh, sorry, whatever.
You keep getting that wrong. It's really funny.
Because it's not a fact that really matters.
I know, but it's really funny. I think like
really.
this is like the 5th time I think you've gotten that thing wrong. I keep remembering this for some reason.
But people are just... This generation of filmmakers grew up loving Star Wars. It's not going to be difficult to get really talented people to make Star Wars movies. And Disney has, at the moment, a ton of money before they burn it all on Disney Plus, which is going.
Oh, they're gonna.
But don't worry about it. They'll be fine.
They're not gonna run out. They're never gonna run out of money. They're never ever gonna run out of money.
I think. I hope that Disney and Jon Favreau have learned a lesson from this show and the right one. They just dropped the first couple episodes on Hulu because I think they're hoping that will get the word of mouth out there. It's only available on Hulu until like December 17th. So if for some reason you are both at the hour plus mark of this episode and you haven't watched season 1 of Andor, but you're also on the fence, go check out the first couple episodes on Hulu if you don't have Disney Plus, and then just do a little sneaky free trial or something. Steal your friend's login. The show is so good.
Yeah,
if you're not watching it, you're really missing out. I'm telling you, it's like I said. I think I love Rogue One. We did before all the TV shows and everything started. I don't remember exactly when we did it, but we did a ranking of all Star Wars episode a few years back. If you want to go check the archive for that, I think. Where we landed as we combine our two lists, I think we had 5-4 Rogue One. I think I have to go back.
I think that sounds like the order that I would put them in. So
but
that's
for me. I think at the time it was Rogue One 5-4, and now I think it's Andor Rogue One 5-4 for me. And I think that's the. I
just think it's funny to me. I'm about to say this. I think it's just different Star Wars.
They are they're
they're in the same universe, but they just feel like different things.
Which is I think it's like comparing evolution of it, right?
It's like Winter Soldier versus Thor Ragnarok. Those are two very different movies, but they're in the same kind of like.
That's an interesting comparison.
I was trying to think like very like just starkly different MCU movies, but those are the ones that go to my brain.
I think I'd take Ragnarok. I think off the top of my head, I think I'd take Ragnarok, but either way.
I think it depends on the mood of it, man.
No, I know.
If I want something a little bit more like
I just wanted to undermine your point.
Yes, that's fine, as you like to do. But I think we should wrap up the episode, Shane.
Yeah, let's call
long
it.
And my caffeine is dying.
Yeah, we're gonna call it again. If you have not already, not that I need to be the one telling you guys to go watch a Star Wars thing, but I think you're really missing out if you, even if you are like Cory and I were at the beginning before we watched Andor, or like, who cares about casting Andor? Like that seems like a okay character from a good Star Wars movie. Don't let that scare you off. Watch the first episode. I guarantee you're going to be hooked. Diego Luna's so good. The show is excellent from top to bottom. I'm hoping that season 2 comes sooner rather than later, but there's a million great TV shows to watch in the meantime, so I'll be okay. Anything else for the people, Corey, before we let them go?
Nothing else from me.
All right, well, just a reminder, next-ish episode, just subscribe so you don't miss it anyway, but we've got James Cameron's Avatar, Curse the Rewatch, Bad Movie episode, all that good stuff coming for you. We're also approaching the end of 2022, which is don't love that. We're gonna be doing our end of year list and all that good stuff as we always do. So don't forget, like I said, please subscribe if you haven't already. If you're on the YouTube, don't forget to like and hit the bell, because that sends you notifications so that you know when we upload these episodes. I've been Che.
I've been Cory.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.